Just finished counselling for the evening. That last stretch was 5 hours back to back, quite a marathon. And the last person I saw asked me to make a video on connecting with your emotions. So I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it spontaneously. So, okay, I could say a couple of things. Connecting with your emotions. One thing to say is that often we obviously we disconnect from our emotions, and how and why does that happen? And there are many things that could be said, and here's one, and that's the theme of defences. I'll probably say a lot more about this at some point. That's actually been a fascination of mine for a long time. It's one of the things that I've taken a lot from psychoanalysis, because I'm not a psychoanalyst, and there are plenty of things I don't take, but sometimes out of rejection of the ideas, sometimes because it's just not what I do. But the theory of defences is really rich in psychoanalysis and helpful to anybody. You don't have to be a psychoanalyst, you don't have to follow the psychoanalytic story. It doesn't matter if you accept it or reject it or neutral. It's very powerful, and a lot of the defences are precisely about avoiding emotions, disconnecting from emotions. So the theme I've been asked to talk about is connecting with emotions. Well, for a start, we often the reason we're not in connection is because we've actively disconnected. Now, they use the word unconscious, so we've unconsciously disconnected from our emotions, and some people get hung up on that, and I don't. I don't think. I think often when people reject the notion of the unconscious, they've got a false or a too narrow conception of what it means. Because it means a bunch of things, really, and they all tend to cluster around really the point that there are things we're aware of, and there are things that we're not aware of. That's what it is for me. Now, sometimes we're not aware of something because we're not reflecting on it. Sometimes, even if we try to reflect, we're not immediately aware of it. Okay, it starts to break down and get complex. I mean, my understanding of the unconscious is informed by cognitive science as much as anything else. It's in neuroscience. It's really the case that there are active parts of our minds that are conscious in our consciousness, and there are very active parts of our minds that aren't in consciousness, but they're very active. They're moving us. They're driving us. And so defences can often operate unconsciously. They're like instincts that set in motion to protect us, and for some people that might be intellectualization, where you go up into the intellect so you don't feel the thing. For other people, rationalization, often the same people actually, where you make up reasons, and the reasons are actually bullshit. They're just justifications. They're just hot air for an emotional reaction or a desire. Other types involve just shutting down, becoming numb, or disassociating. There are countless types, but so what I'm pointing to here fundamentally is that we can obstruct our connection with our emotions. I said I'd make another point, but I'm doing this on the fly and I can't remember what the other point was, but I want to move from just talking about being obstructed from emotions to, here's something that's different from being obstructed from your emotions, being disconnected by an obstruction like a defense mechanism. Another thing that can happen is we just weren't ever in connection with our emotions. That's the case with some people. Some people on the spectrum are just never in connection with their emotions. It's not that they're repressing anything, it's just that it's not quite there. It might have to do with brain structure, and a person's not there. Okay, these are pretty theoretical points really, certainly the second one. The question's being asked by somebody who's interested in becoming attuned to their emotions and getting into connection with them. I guess another big point in counselling, another theme that repeats, is that people are often out of touch with their gut sense and their gut feeling and their basic emotional resonance and their basic emotional antenna, their emotional radar for what's going on around them. They reject it because they don't trust themselves, or they're worried about being a bad person or a distrustful person, or etc., etc. I mean, there are a bunch of things that can be said about that. But I guess the big thing to say about it is one of the big challenges for most people is to come into closer contact with your gut sense and to really trust your gut. Now, sure, the gut can be wrong, but the the greater wrong, the greater mistake is to not trust your gut. Your gut can be wrong, and you will get it wrong in terms of your intuition at times. The bigger mistake is not to trust your intuition, not to trust your gut, because a lot of the time we'll get things right. If you're a basically healthy person, you know, I mean, if you've got a lot of distortions inside, if you've been diagnosed with a personality disorder and there's a lot of distortion going on inside, okay, often you have to trust reason more than your gut. It's just one of the shit cards you've been dealt in life, that some people get dealt in life, that, you know, because of, you know, a lot of sexual abuse in your childhood, if that was what, you know, brought this about, things have been scrambled inside. Okay, that's horrible, that's shit, but that is the reality, and you may not be able to trust your gut so well for the time being. Go do a bunch of therapy, go do a bunch of DBT and so on, and you might come to the point where you can trust your gut better. But for the vast majority of people who are basically healthy, you know, within that, it's a relative term, but it's an important term. We need to just trust our gut a lot more. It's really powerful. It's older than the high level parts of our brain. It's been getting us through, making us survive for a lot longer. It's been serving that function for long before there was this higher level part of the brain. So trust your gut, learn to trust it. And that's another point, I guess, about getting in touch with your emotions, getting into connection with your emotions. So, okay, there are things that obstruct our emotions, like defenses, and it's about working through those. And there are things that obstruct it, like not trusting our gut. Not wanting to be a bad person or a judgmental person, so we don't trust our gut. That can be quite a mistake. Bunch of other things that can be said about this, but I'll just leave it at that. So thank you, I won't name names, thank you for the last person I saw tonight who asked me to make a video on that question. We could actually go on for a long time with different things to be said about that. Maybe I'll make another video for fun in answer to that question again, but there you go. Okay, good night.